The Online Safety Act is possibly the biggest age verification experiment that's on the internet at the moment. It concerns an ongoing struggle, really, between, on one side, the advocates of privacy versus those who think we should protect everybody online, particularly, obviously, our minors and children. To do this, really, online identity verification is mandated. It has to be mandated. And we're witnessing this global tug of war. It's also a revealing case study of what happens when governments force age verification requirements on the internet. In some corners, people are very, very upset about this for a variety of reasons. Okay, so the UK's Online Safety Act is mainly designed to protect children and minors from accessing adult/harmful material. And to do this, it enforces age verification from any website that might host this content. And it's doing it basically by saying you have to age verify by using one of these rough methods. So there's government ID verification, that is to upload your driver's license or your passport or bills or social security number, that sort of information. To verify your identity. There's a more high-tech, futuristic method, which is allowed, but quite limited guidelines on it, of facial analysis. Now, this is where you look at the camera and AI tells you how old you look, basically. And it's supposedly quite accurate for assessing how old people are and if they're under 18, that sort of thing. And of course, financial account verification, where you wave your credit card, they make a micropayment or something like that, and you use that to prove that you're over 18. Certainly in the UK, you can't access financial credit cards like that without being over 18. Okay, so the early results, I've titled this slide really, The Law of Unintended Consequences. It's a sort of social, it's not really a law, but it's the fact that when governments try and implement things, usually weird, different things happen, unintended consequences, varying from benefits to drawbacks to, quite often, it has to be said, the complete opposite of what they intended. So we had a quick look at some major adult websites that, and there's a pattern there, really. This was just a sort of broad stroke, really, and we found that 14 of the major adult websites were completely ignoring the adult verification requirements. They're just not doing it. Remember, these adult sites can be hosted all over the world, and as you know, a high-tech porn site in Russia or China is probably not going to be worried about UK legislation to a great extent, and they're just ignoring it. What they have found is any of these sites which have ignored the age verification, so they don't ask their viewers for any verification or identification, have seen a 2 to 3 times traffic increase, 2 to 300%, I should say, for non-compliant sites. And so an average one non-compliant site has seen 350,000 monthly visitors. Non-compliant competitors are obviously suffering the complete opposite. Compliant competitors are obviously suffering the complete opposite of that, and their traffic has dropped hugely because people don't want to put their details into these sites, understandably. So how's this verification industry being sort of managed, really? Well, there's a whole sector which has been around for years now, but it's obviously benefiting greatly from this legislation. So who is checking your ID? The age verification ecosystem's not huge, but it's got a group of private contractors now. There's quite a few of these, but just for an example, there's a company called Yoti, which basically charges 10 to 25 cents per face scan. So that's every viewer that comes onto your site and you use an age verification could cost you 25 cents to verify their identity, which obviously in internet context and a lot of adult websites can be quite considerable amounts of money. In code, they do ID verification solutions, and there's lots of others. It's a big market. There was estimates I've seen that these costs do add up quite quickly. A major platform like Pornhub compliance could possibly cost more than £13 million per day. That was from an Indiana judge's estimate, where a lot of these age verifications are happening across many states in the US, up to about 25, I think, at last count. We've still got the huge data breach issue there that when we're putting all this private details onto these companies, they become an instant target for cyber criminals, basically. So there's many examples. There's one called T, which is a dating advice site. It's just for women, and it's supposed to be able to, so you can look up and cross-reference men's names and make sure they're potentially great suitors, or whatever you want to say. And the website asks all the women to identify with selfies and driver's license photos, and uses AI verification. They suffered a cyber attack, and basically everybody's personal identification ID documents were compromised. It's only going to get bigger, this, and really some of the definitions of what is classed as adult content is very vague. In the UK, I think they use harmful content, and the US states are doing similar things. So many sites, it's very obvious to pick an adult website, but lots of sites like social media, all like Blue Sky, Twitter, X, and Reddit, they've implemented age checks not because they're primarily focused on adult sites, it's because it's user-generated content, so they don't know what that content could be. You could go onto Twitter and post a porn video, and it would probably get taken down quite quickly, but it could be up there for a substantial amount of time, that sort of thing. Communication apps, the same deal, really, that Discord and Telegram verify users' ages because they're potentially hosting lots of possibly adult content, even though it's not the core focus of their sites. And so entertainment platforms as well. Spotify, I believe, has started to implement age verification measures in the UK. I don't know how far that's going to go. Lots of these websites, especially forums and small niche forums and stuff, are just not going to be able to cope with the costs involved in these. And why should they, really? Civil liberties groups are warning this trend could wall off huge sections of the internet. And you know who'll be in charge of it? Well, the government. So, technical limitations. Just wanted to mention quickly about AI. At the moment, can't solve all these problems, but who knows? In 3 months, with the way AI moves on towards a singularity, that will be solved quite quickly, and possibly will be the least of our problems with AI. But the accuracy currently is not there with, say, facial analysis systems. A 25-year-old woman with dwarfism had a TikTok account banned, but she was flagged as a child. Obviously not a good look for the company, and not very fair on the young lady. Social media guides are all over the place showing how you can trick these AI systems. There's one with, I forget what it's called now, but it was an online game where you could control the character's face and tell it to do this, that, and the other. All you had to do is point your phone there and use it. The guy was a sort of 40-year-old male in the apocalypse, and obviously he passed the age verification test, even though he was not real. Algorithms are often misclassifying both adults as children and vice versa. Somebody noted from the Centre for Democracy and Technology, Alia Bhatia, she said it's a lot more complex than showing your ID before you enter a pub, which some of our older viewers but probably all remember, having to show your ID and before you went to go and get a drink. There has been a big impact on smaller platforms and communities, as I mentioned before. Tech giants can absorb these verification costs. 25 cents doesn't sound much, but for even a small site can get thousands of people, and that can really add up. For instance, an administrator from Red Passion, which is a message board for the Wrexham Football Soccer Club fans, which has been around for years, now you read it occasionally. they did close down new memberships and new users, and were contemplating closing the whole site down. As I quote the admin, "We face substantial legal and operational burdens that are just disproportionately difficult for small platforms like ours to manage," which is true, really. These sites were not set up on a commercial basis. They're not designed to make loads of money. They're communities, they're hubs for sharing, and they're going to be put out of business by the Online Safety Act. So the financial burden, the legal complexity, it's all making a big impact on these smaller platforms. This could happen across the globe, really. As I mentioned, in the United States, there's a lot of this happening. I think 25 states are now implementing. The UK approach is very broad and targeting adult and stroke harmful sites, and you could argue a huge percentage of the internet is really in that bracket, and it could expand to all platforms. US state laws, Mississippi now requires all social media platforms to verify name and age of users and get parental permission for anybody under 18. And there are a lot of legal challenges here. At the moment, there's things like 4chan and Kiwi Farms have sued the UK regulator Ofcom, which is in charge of communications and implementing the Online Safety Act, saying that this act violates the First Amendment for American companies, which shouldn't be subject to the UK's internet laws. And of course, the big workaround, as everybody knows, really, VPNs. You can just bypass it completely. In fact, actually, the UK Science Secretary, Peter Kyle, appeared on the BBC just when the Act was implemented, saying the government basically warning against using VPNs. I don't know how they can warn people. They just said you shouldn't. But the government getting on national TV to warn that VPNs let people slip past their age verification right might be the slickest free advertising the VPN industry has ever received. Indeed, as soon as he said you can bypass all the Online Safety Act by using a VPN app soared to the top of the UK's App Store download charts. What a huge surprise. And that's it. That's just some of the issues as this Online Safety Act develops. It's an important thing, sort of situation that's developing across the world. Australia have got their own act in place as well. It's governments trying to legislate against adult websites to protect children. All laudable ideals, but I don't think the method they've chosen is going to work. Okay, I'll leave it there for now. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.